Okay, we're going to start this thing now. Puppers! Hello, friends, and friends I've yet to meet. This is TR with you again, and welcome back to another Creator Journal. Take two. One of the things I enjoy most about these journals is pulling back the curtain and sharing some of the creative decisions behind Legend of Nero. Sometimes that means talking about the writing process. Sometimes it's artwork, publishing, or world building. Today, though, I'd like to talk about something every fantasy story needs. A great villain. Because here's the thing. Every memorable hero has an equally memorable antagonist. The hero may carry the story, but the villain gives that story purpose. And for me, that character is Natasha. So pull up a chair and let's talk villain stuff. So what makes a great villain? One of my favorite quotes about storytelling is this: every villain is the hero of their own story. I've always loved that idea because it forces us to step outside the hero's perspective. If we only experience the world through the protagonist's eyes, we lose half the story. You know, the villain doesn't wake up every morning thinking, how can I be evil? They wake up believing they're right. They believe the world has wronged them. They believe they're the one making the difficult decisions. That philosophy became the foundation for Natasha. You know, I never wanted a generic fantasy villain whose purpose was only to give the hero someone to fight. That's boring. I wanted someone who could carry a story on her own. Someone with dreams, someone with fears, someone whose ambitions existed long before our hero entered the picture. Because characters don't become interesting when they're evil. They become interesting when they're believable. So let's take a minute and let's meet Natasha. Natasha wasn't born a necromancer. She wasn't born a conqueror. She wasn't born the woman readers meet in Blood Notes. She was simply a girl growing up alongside her older brother Tristan. After losing their parents, the two of them did everything they could to keep the family farm alive. Life, it wasn't glamorous. It wasn't powerful. It was small. And that's exactly what Natasha couldn't accept. She believed she was destined for something greater. Not a small town, not a small life, not being overlooked by everyone around her. That belief, whether justified or not, became the spark that ignited everything that followed. One decision, one encounter, one moment where ambition outweighed contentment, and Natasha began walking a road that would consume her. She could never be the same again. So let's talk a little bit about the cost of this power. One thing I wanted to explore through Natasha was the cost of ambition. Power is rarely free. The more she learns about necromancy, the more she sacrifices pieces of herself. So eventually she discovers one of Nero's ancient necro runes. Rather than simply wielding its power, she bonds with it. The relationship now becomes symbiotic. The rune grants unimaginable strength to her, but every gift comes with a price. As the story progresses, Natasha begins suffering reoccurring nightmares about her brother, Tristan. She dreams of him standing over her, watching her, judging her, and eventually driving his sword through her chest. Those dreams aren't there simply, to be creepy or foreshadowing or anything like that. They're reminders. Reminders that somewhere beneath all the darkness, there was once a sister, someone capable of love, someone capable of loss. Those pieces of Natasha never completely disappeared. They're simply buried beneath everything she's become. So let's shift a little bit into the designing aspect. Since I'm an illustrator, I have to design. Visually, Natasha hasn't changed all that much over the years. And we're talking 30 years. One of my biggest inspirations was Raceland from the Dragonlance novels by Margaret Wise and Tracy Hickman. I loved the idea of someone who appeared physically fragile, yet possessed incredible magical power. Natasha's not intimidating because she's physically imposing. Quite the opposite. She's intimidating because she's always thinking 3 moves ahead. She understands how people perceive her. She knows how to manipulate those perceptions. And whether that's through intelligence, charm, sexuality, fear, or simple intimidation, she's willing to use every tool available to her to accomplish those goals. That restraint in her design was intentional. I wanted elegance instead of excess, quiet confidence instead of loud power, because the most dangerous people are often the ones you underestimate, more than a villain. To me, Natasha is far more than the antagonist of Legend of Nero. She's a character first. She had a childhood, she had a family, she had dreams, and she made impossible choices. Some were made for her. Many, though, she chose for herself. And somewhere along that journey, the line between ambition and obsession slowly disappeared. And that's what fascinates me, because I don't think the best villains are monsters. I think they're people. People who believe they're doing exactly what needs to be done. People who are willing to sacrifice everything, including themselves, to achieve what they believe is their destiny. That's the kind of villain I wanted Natasha to become. Someone relatable. So in closing, thank you so much for joining me for another Creator Journal. I hope these behind-the-scenes conversations help you see a little more of the thought and care that goes into building the world of Legend of Nero. If you'd like to learn more about Natasha and the people standing in her way, you can find Blood and Oaths at legendofnero.com, as well as through Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and other major retailers. And as always, truly, thank you for supporting independent authors and artists. And remember, the best villains aren't born, they're created. I'll see you next time. Cheers.
Ah